I potted the mics up before I had to. Are you tired of that? You don't like me talking about being potting the mics up?
Yeah, I don't need to hear it. Plus, you didn't even do mine.
Oh. So I forgot Jim. No, I did.
I'm not on Jim. I'm on 3.
Oh, sorry. I potted most of them up.
You don't know.
I potted up Jim because that's where John Lithgow is going to sit.
Lithgow.
Thank you.
That's not Lithgow. It's spelled Lithgow, but it's Lithgow.
It's Lithgow.
Okay. You call him Lithgow. All right, let's bring him in.
I wonder if he heard about this Nicki Minaj Remy Ma beef.
He was talking about it on another show.
He was, right?
Yeah. I wonder if you heard about the Oscars gaff. Let's ask him.
Well,
I want to see how he answers it. If we say to him, "Did you hear about what happened at the Oscars last night? Like just a couple of assholes." I want to see how he handles that. Oh yeah, that was terrible.
I'm going to ask him. People have been saying that Nicki Minaj got bodied by Remy Ma. Do you find so?
All right, I can ask him that.
You know, I think.
Yeah, but okay, here.
He's coming.
All right.
All right.
Get John Lithgow in here.
Bodied.
Bodied.
Fuck up, Sam.
That's what they're saying.
I didn't know what bodied meant, Who Kid. I thought it meant like body slammed.
Well, in the nigga world, it means
Right.
she got killed
Right.
Oh, okay.
in rap.
Right. Through song.
Yeah.
Killed through song.
I wouldn't describe that world that way. I'd probably get yelled at. if that was my description, I would have been in big trouble.
She was like
Jim saying I got bodied.
a Roberta Flack song. Killing them softly through song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember we met Roberta Flack?
I do remember.
She wanted to fuck me so badly.
What?
I could just tell.
What?
She wanted to fuck me.
Why? Because of the way you lingered waiting for a photo as she was having a conversation with other people?
No, it's the way I fucking helped her through the crowd when her feet were. All right, here he comes.
Should've seen him.
Hello, John.
Hello.
John Lithgow.
Guys.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, take a
Sit
seat.
down. Yes. Make yourself comfortable.
That's a tremendous jacket you have on.
Thank you.
Yes,
This is
that's
my
great.
clown costume.
No, it's nice.
Is that Gucci?
We're talking. It's Miyake.
Oh, okay.
See?
Is Miyake a good brand? I'm not familiar with that.
Miyake. Ask my wife. She
picks it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good enough that you did it.
Miyake. It's Japanesey.
Oh, Issey Miyake's a cologne. I have that.
Yeah.
I do have it, but I never knew it was Miyake. I have Issey Miyake.
Well, there you go. Welcome, John.
Hey.
Hey,
How are
did you hear
you?
what happened
I
at the
feel
Oscars
welcome.
last night?
I saw it. I not only saw it, but I saw it twice and 3 times.
Oh, you watched it again and again?
Yeah, it was fascinating. Yeah, trying to figure out exactly who knew what when.
Well, you've been up there. You've been nominated for an Oscar. You've won tons of awards, though.
Yeah.
So you know what that feeling is, right? To be on stage and have the trophy and give the speech.
Yeah.
So how do you suppose that would feel if somebody was like, "Oh, John, before you finish"?
I can't even imagine, like scrambled brains.
Yeah.
It's hard enough winning, but winning and then losing.
Did you like the one guy who made the speech anyway, even though he knew that he lost? He's just like, I fucking, I'm up here.
Amazing. It's like, but I think you don't know what you're doing up there. I just won a SAG award and completely forgot the name of like the costume designer of the crown. And just stood there like a deer in the headlights for seemed to me about 15 seconds. It was about a second and a half.
So have you written up speeches that you didn't get to make? Because people pull out a prepared speech.
Yeah.
So everyone who loses has a speech written up. So you've written up a few that you didn't make?
Yeah, sure. And I've thought of different speeches that I've immediately scrapped just before going up to the podium.
Why'd you scrap them?
Just because I thought of something funnier, and those are the great ones. But it's a funny business. Something happens to your entire body. But that's why I rebroadcast that moment from last night. Just wondering what was going through poor Warren Beatty's head.
Yeah, we saw Warren trying to talk a couple of times, and we thought like the way they kind of just jumped in front of him.
Yeah.
That would not have happened in 1976 if Warren Beatty wanted to talk. Everyone,
right? But also the first time through, I thought, "Oh, come on, Warren, don't do a number. This is not right. It's not funny. You're extending it too long." But then rebroadcasting it, thinking he knew something was wrong.
And do you like the way we pointed out that he just threw it to Faye Dunaway?
That's right. And sure enough, she's now in the doghouse. So.
But what would you do in that situation? Would you see Emma Stone's name? Would you read it, or would you go, "There's a mistake," and go, "Look, I hate to do this, but I think there's a mistake"?
Well, you can speculate. I think I would say, yes, something's wrong here, because something clearly was wrong. But the other thing was, La La Land was such an odds-on favorite. If everything had gone smoothly and just as it should, Moonlight would have been an astonishing upset, and the place would have gone nuts.
Yeah, it was like we saw before in Crash won a few years ago instead of what I guess was Brokeback Mountain. People were shocked.
Just this sort
But now that
huge corporate gasp.
But that shock goes away because, like, you watch it and then people are shocked that Moonlight won, but you're watching them and no, they're shocked because they're watching those guys lose right in front of them.
I know. Yeah, amazing. Just amazing.
I thought the one guy handled it well. The one producer who actually made the announcement.
He behaved like a producer.
When he
it was
snatched that thing, he snatched
took
that
it
out of
from one
Warren's
baby.
envelope. Oh,
great. Yeah, it was great.
poor Warren. I felt bad for him.
Yeah. Except the other guy, the other producer, who's like off camera, he goes, "Yeah, I don't know, they read it wrong."
He was so annoyed.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
By the way, and you're promoting, the name of your show is Trial and Error. It's a kind of a mockumentary comedy. Premieres Tuesday, March 14th, 10 o'clock on NBC. And I thought it was a drama until I watched it. And I'm like, this is probably a courtroom drama. And you play a guy named Larry Henderson accused of killing his wife.
Yes. And for the whole extent, 13 episodes of the season, I have to sustain the possibility that I either did or did not.
Right.
And it's amazing because it's a hilarious show, but it also works as a suspenseful whodunit procedural.
Yes.
Even though it's completely crazy.
Would you call it? I would call it almost ludicrous in a Monty Python type of way.
Yeah, it's out there. It's the craziest thing I've done since Third Rock from the Sun.
It is. It's very absurd. It's like
Absurd.
absurdist. Yes.
Yeah.
But you
And-
still
and-
find yourself trying to figure out, like, I was watching it and going like, but I think that there's a
It's full
clue
of
over
clues.
there.
There are clues everywhere, and red herrings and misleads. It's just great. It's so ingenious the way the creators Jeff Astrof and Matt Miller. It's an interesting combination because Astrof is purely a comedy writer, and Matt Miller is this procedural guy. You know, in fact, he's also the showrunner on Lethal Weapon, simultaneous with Trial and Error. So it has both things going. Each episode ends with a cliffhanger that makes you dying to know what happens next, even though it's all completely outrageous and ridiculous.
It is very silly, but it was well written. And they only gave us 3 episodes, so I got through the first 3 episodes. And I'm like, at first, it kind of reminded me of a follow-up from The Crown. I'm like, it's very similar.
They're so similar, you know, and the character is so alike.
He's basically like, you're watching it and it would appear that he's very, very guilty of murdering his wife. But he's like almost too stupid to be guilty, you know?
It's not exactly stupid. It's just he's like a man with absolutely no sense of proportion, perspective, or priorities, you know?
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned, his wife dying in front of him and the cable guy not showing up are matters of equal urgency.
Yeah.
You know?
So he really looks guilty, and then you're like, I don't know if he's guilty. But they're like, he is guilty. And there's a few reveals that are very, very funny.
Yeah. So, and this wonderful cast, I have to name them all. They're so great. Nick D'Agosto, he plays the one sane character, this New York lawyer who has come down to help to defend me.
Yeah.
And Sherry Shepard and Steve Boyer and Krista Rodriguez.
Sherry Shepard is great, by the way.
She is good.
She's hilarious
She
in
is
it.
absolutely. And who knew? Who knew she was such a funny? You just look at her and you laugh.
Yeah, she's great. She's a stand-up, so I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know she was a comedic actress, and she was
She's
really
just
good in
great
this.
and such a doll. And Jayma Mays from Glee and Bob Gunton. And I even have a single scene late in the series with French Stewart from Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, okay.
We sort of revive the old Third Rock energy, and he's a witness coach.
I would imagine that the character's name being Larry Henderson is not an accident.
Apparently, when they were trying to seduce me into doing this, they named the character Larry Henderson.
And they figured that would kind of get you like, yeah.
But I'm easily seduced.
Yeah, it
so-
worked. It was good.
Do you find that, like, after you do something like The Crown, like, especially when it gets the critical acclaim that it has, and it's just like as successful as a show can be, like, do you want to kind of just do a victory lap and go, I'm John Lithgow from The Crown, everybody, you know, or is it, let's go right back into work, let's find the next thing?
Well, you know, actors always have that lurking insecurity. What's next? Will I ever work again? It never leaves you. Basically, you're always, while you're doing a job, that's the best time to get another job. I actually spoke to these guys on the phone from London. They were in L.A., Matt and Jeff. They pitched the show to me in the course of about 40 minutes on the telephone after I'd just spent a 14-hour day shooting on The Crown. And here I was listening to these wacko Hollywood comedy writers pitch this oddball series to me. It was on the basis of that I decided to do it.
How far does it have to go before it gets to you on the phone while you're on the set? Like, how many people do they have to go through before they finally put you through to John Lithgow on the set?
The first I heard about it was from my agent, but it all happened very fast. I had to decide right away because it was pilot season and these things go lightning quick. But they sold the premise. It was, to me, they made me laugh hard just talking about it. And then I met them for the first time when I finally got home to L.A.
And when you're shooting The Crown, it's interesting you said, because you were so great in that. It was such a good show that you were intimidated to play such an important British character as an American.
Sure. I mean, I was excited and scared in equal measure, but far more excited. And I had a lot of faith in all the circumstances. Peter Morgan, the writer, Stephen Daldry, the director, these guys, if they wanted me, I guess they knew what they were doing.
Now, you did a lot of research for this. Are you a method guy? So you acted like Churchill off camera?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I just I put on my fat suit and I was Churchill. I did do a huge amount of research. I don't think I've ever worked quite so much, just delved into a character's history, including his young years. But mainly, I just found the man so fascinating. A lot of people have had that experience. They just begin to learn about Churchill and they can't get enough. He's so intriguing and such a significant character in the 20th century. I found it kind of heartbreaking and explained so much that he had such an unhappy childhood. He was such a neglected and lonely and needy kid. And a screw up, he failed at everything. He ended up turning toward the military, ending up at Sandhurst because it was like being sent to military school as a high schooler. And just you see his entire life in terms of his insecurities and his efforts to overcompensate. He turned himself into this extraordinarily powerful and decisive man. And I think, as with any character, his very young years inform his very old years.
Did you like the royal family more or less after doing this show? Because the Queen kind of like just the pomp and it annoyed me after a while. Like not the show, but the idea of what the Queen does. I'm like, ugh.
Because it's real life, you mean? Because people actually have to go through all the pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, and the way she kind of, fucked Margaret by not backing her in her marriage, it really annoyed me.
Well, except that it's real. It's a real family with real family issues. It's just that they are, at the same time, the most public and the most private family in the world. It's almost a matter of policy that they never express an emotion publicly. And the only one of the royals that I've met is Charles and Camilla on 3 occasions, actually. And the conversation with these people
Can imagine.
is so perfectly banal. They have to speak small talk as if it's poetry. It's just so totally colorless and dull.
What'd you talk about?
In each case, it was after a performance, so they found something to talk about the performance.
What they had seen you perform?
Yeah.
Oh, no, on TV or live?
Let's see, live in each case.
Oh, okay.
I performed at a gala. Actually, it was 2 galas. One at the Royal Shakespeare Company last spring, and they're Charles is extremely charming. But just banal. You don't touch anything that could possibly be considered controversial.
Nothing personal.
Does that drive you crazy, though? Because these are potentially some of the more interesting people that you could have a conversation with.
You're kind of a little bit elated by the ceremony of it. I mean, you're meeting a royal. But that's what the whole series is all about. It's sort of a rumination on the monarchy. and the reason for the monarchy, or the opposite. Whether it makes any sense to have a constitutional monarchy.
But how about the secret society background? Did you have to dwell into that, or you're already into that?
Well, I mean, Churchill had been everything. By the time the fact is, he was an old man. It's the story of him as being the prime minister for the second time, becoming the prime minister at age 75, which is too old to be in that position, and yet hanging on to it for dear life in a very, very crafty and expertly political way. That's what I found most intriguing. He had this sense that he was the only person who could solve the world's problems. He literally thought it has to be me and Stalin and Eisenhower. We're the only ones who can guarantee world peace. So he has to hang in there. As he approached 80 years old. I mean, that's quite a story.
Hey, after The World According to Garb, too, it's amazing now you play this trans character, and now it's everyone is talking about it, but you did that probably before anybody.
Yeah, that was 1982 or something. A remarkable film that was so far ahead of its time. It's true. It's now, I'm like the old founder or something.
Did you stay close to Robin after that?
Not close. I saw him occasionally. We worked very closely together during that film under these rather strange circumstances. I was always dressed as a woman, and it was a period of his life where he had a serious love affair with cocaine.
Oh,
so it was difficult.
Would it be hard on the set? Because sometimes if
Not
someone's
at
doing
all.
coke, no?
No, not at all. It's just that he would. I found out years later that we were working out on Fisher's Island, way off New London, Connecticut, for 3 or 4 weeks. And he was spending his nights in New York at clubs. And who knew that? He was a man who was not sleeping. And yet, while he was working, he was completely absorbed, very reliable. But it made him moody. It made him distant. That was, almost 30 years ago. And yet you could see the beginnings of that, the things that led him to
The mood, the depression, and things like that. Yeah,
that sad end.
Are you doing Daddy's Home 2 with Mel Gibson?
Yes.
Have you worked with Mel Gibson before?
No, I've never met Mel.
He strikes me.
Did he ever leave you an answering machine message?
We've exchanged emails, and I start working with him next week.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see how that turns out because I mean, scandals aside, Mel Gibson strikes me as one of the more hardcore, act, just everything he does. It seems like he just dives into, and he's just intense.
Yeah.
Intense was the word.
The premise of Daddy's Home 2 is, the first one was Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. Their two fathers enter the picture.
Right.
So Mel Gibson as Mark's father and I as Will's father strikes me as perfect casting. I think it's going to be hilarious. And
it's nice to see him making a comeback, kind of. People, when you screw up in Hollywood, you take a little time off, they're pissed at you, and then all of a sudden, all right.
Oh, he is absolutely perfect casting. I think it's going to be hilarious. I go up there next week for the first time to mix it up with those guys.
And then, and then are you doing Pitch Perfect 3 as well?
That's right. I'm Rebel Wilson's father, and then I'm
it's incredible.
I'm movie comedy sequel dad.
These are good franchises, by the way.
That's right. It's a nice thing to be known for, I think. But Rebel is absolutely great. I've been having a wonderful time with her. I go back to finish that film. I'm doing so many things at the same time.
I know.
It's insane.
And
here I am promoting Trial and Error.
Right.
So
Is that tough? Because like you said, you're doing Pitch Perfect 3 now. You're getting ready to do Daddy's Home 2. Everybody's talking about The Crown because it's streaming, and you're trying to promote this Trial and Error that you obviously filmed a long time ago.
We finished that in mid-December.
Right. So is it kind of like now you're talking about this stuff that is like...
Well, I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. No, I mean, they're all incredibly fun. The great thing is to do this kind of very dignified and fine and worthy series, The Crown, and then immediately followed up with this hat trick of complete lunacy. I'm having a wonderful time.
It keeps it from getting boring.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't want to bore myself.
You're not
let
typecast.
alone audiences.
Right.
No, and they're all very different characters. As Rebel Wilson's father, I'm sort of this scuzzy Australian con man. So she's been coaching me on my Australian accent.
Do you sing?
I sing and I dance.
You do?
We dance the tango in a casino.
Hey.
did they have to teach you, or are you actually a good dancer?
As a dancer, I'm a very good actor. That's how
Okay.
But no, they make you look good. God knows. There's a fabulous choreographer who just put me through my paces. It was exhausting, I have to say that. I'm a little old for this.
I heard there's a rumor that you're a good rapper too.
Oh, I've done that up here on this floor.
What?
They wrote a rap song for me, I think for The Crown when I came to talk about that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you spit it? Can you spit it on this show?
No, man. Don't even ask me. I'm going to embarrass both of us.
It's a dangerous game. I'm sure you heard about Remy Ma and Nicki Minaj were
my
beefing
God.
all weekend.
Yes, right.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, you don't want to be a clown when you're fighting for the crown. I mean,
that's really great.
Listen to you guys.
That's really great, huh?
yeah, I'm really good.
Is that good, Who Kid?
That was fucking good.
It was really good.
Thanks
right?
very much.
That was incredible.
Now you also you're getting awarded a Harvard Arts Medal in April, and you went to Harvard and made the commencement speech. How nerve-wracking is that to have to talk to a bunch of Harvard graduates?
Oh, that was great. That was in 2005. Yeah, it was. I've been quite involved at Harvard since going there. In fact, this medal that they're presenting me with, I actually established that medal 25 years ago. All these years, I've recused myself. It's for people who went to Harvard but then went into the creative arts. So over the years, Jack Lemmon and Bonnie Raitt and Yo-Yo Ma, all these, Matt Damon and Tommy Lee Jones, they've all gotten it. And they finally, at the 25th anniversary, they've insisted on giving it to me.
Wait, so were they going to give it to you before, and you said no, I won't even be considered?
I said no. I created this thing. I shouldn't take it home.
That's where we're different. I would want it the first year if I created it. It's my fucking award.
The president of Harvard called me and said, no, you have to accept it this year. So I did.
See,
How do you feel about because I mean you've done so much stuff that obviously people remember different things, but I think there's something about and this goes back to what we're trial and error. There's something about a network sitcom that obviously, as you know, just sticks with people. Like I was talking to my wife yesterday about you coming in. She literally just finished The Crown and she watched it and she loved it and she was obsessed with it and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, guess who's coming in tomorrow? And I was like, John Lithgow. And she was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, from The Crown. And she goes, from Third Rock.
That's right.
And I was like, you put in all this work and she sees it and everything, and it's
she's
just
my people.
right back to Third Rock.
Well, I just love shifting gears. It's sort of what I got into it for. I grew up in a theater family, and my father ran Shakespeare festivals out in Ohio. One of them, the Great Lakes Theater Festival in Cleveland, still going on. And I acted in the plays even as a kid, even as a little boy. And by the time I was a teenager, I was playing small parts. Shakespeare wrote for a theater company, and his plays played in repertory. He wrote Hamlet, but he also wrote Comedy of Errors. He wrote Macbeth, and he wrote Merry Wives of Windsor. He wrote tragedies and loopy comedies and history plays, and you play a different part in a different kind of play every night. Well, that's, without even calculating it, that's kind of how I've run my acting career. I always love to do something as different as possible from what I just did. And you can't always do that, but when it happens, it's exciting,
And you don't mind getting like attached to stuff. Like certain people will just attach you to this thing, like in their memory.
Well, you have to kind of defy that. You have to sort of work hard to never allow yourself to be pigeonholed. The closest I ever came to it was 6 years on Third Rock.
Sure.
But that in itself was playing a different. That was an alien who's trying to figure out how to behave like a human being.
Right.
That's like an actor playing lots of different parts.
Right. Right.
And also, you're promoting, just because we're wrapping up very soon because our show ends, Trial and Error, and it's on NBC March 14th at 10 p.m. And it's an absurd comedy, and we've seen the first 3 episodes. Very, very unique and funny. I mean, it's really an original, and you're great in it, of course.
And the great thing is, NBC is doing 2 shows back to back every Tuesday night for 7 weeks.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
It's almost like a Netflix series. NBC is getting very creative with its programming, so the intention is to really hook people in.
Well, Netflix is making people not want to wait from week to week.
That's right.
It's very difficult.
You want to see it, and you want to see what's happening next.
And Hookid, you'll like the show because what happens to his character's wife is something that you've wanted to happen to your ex-wife for a long time.
Which still didn't happen yet.
But we won't go there.
Yeah, she accidentally goes through a window.
Die, bitch, die.
Hookid got his wife a pair of Yeezys, very, very, very popular sneakers, and then announced on the air her jogging route in case anybody wanted to
Steal her Yeezys.
well kill her for the sneakers.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So is that true or false?
Yeah, it's still out there.
I'm suddenly seeing this show in a very different light. Oh, God.
All right, well, you're great, and thanks for coming in. And we
Thank you.
appreciate everybody listening. We'll be here tomorrow.
Yes.
And we'll further discuss these shitty photos of us. And our live show is.
Give one a John.
Here, have an
yeah.
8x10.
Yeah.
These not just the most pixelated, awful. I mean,
You got to sign this for me.
he thought he was on a professional show, and then he saw these inkjet printer 8x10s.
Yeah, he's humiliated, and so are we.
Oh, no. You should see some of the pictures they asked me to autograph outside the door of this very building.
Do you do it?
Hilarious.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we will
Yes,
see you tomorrow. Thank
see
you,
ya.
John.
Great to talk to you guys.